Hello everyone. So welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we're going to cover the properties of Euler-Torsson function. Since in my last lecture already we have covered the definition of Euler-Torsson function, and also we have covered the computational procedure also. But if we'll see the computational procedure, it is a little bit time consuming, and sometimes it also gives the error also. So if you know the properties of Euler-Torsson function, then by knowing this property you can solve the problem in less time as well as without error also. So that's why we are learning these properties of Euler-Torsson function. The first property says that if you have the p and where p is a prime number, then phi of p can be evaluated using the formula p minus of 1. In example, we can say, suppose we want to calculate phi of 11. So first of all, we'll check, does 11 is a prime number? Yeah, here 11 is a prime number. So we can apply this formula. This formula says that if p is a prime number, then in a shortcut way, you can compute the Euler-Torsson function of p is equal to p minus of 1. So here we'll apply the formula. So 11 minus 1 will be equal to 10. Suppose in that particular case, if you're going to apply the traditional approach, so what will happen? You will have to listen all the number from 1 to 10, and then after that again you will have to select all those number which is relatively prime with 11, and then after that we'll check the count of all selected number, and then that will give the Euler-Torsson function of 11, right? And which is a quite time consuming. But instead of applying the traditional approach, if you're going to apply this formula, you will get the answer in less time. Now I'll say the second property. Second property says that if m and n are integers with no common factor, then you can write phi of m into n equal to phi of m into phi of n. Remember that here m and n are the two positive integer, and these positive integer does not have any common factor, then and only then we can apply this formula. And where this formula can be applicable, I'll take one example also. Suppose you want to calculate phi of 15, right? So 15 can be split as 3 into 5, right? So here we have 3 and here we have 5. So you can consider m is nothing but 3, n is nothing but 5. At the same time, there is no common factor between 3 and 5, right? So now here the formula will be applicable. So here we can write phi of 3 into phi of 5. So since 3 is a prime number, phi is a prime number. So if I'll apply the property number 1, so 3 will be equal to phi of 3 will be equal to 2 because n minus 1, right? And the phi of 5 will be equal to 4, and the 2 into 4 will be equal to 8. So this is your answer. But instead of applying this formula, if you're going to apply the traditional approach, so it will be quite time consuming. What you will have to do, again you will have to write all those number from 1 to 14, then after that we're going to select all those number which is relatively prime to 15. That process will be time consuming. So instead of applying the traditional approach, you can go for this properties also. Now see the third property. Third property says that if p is a prime number and k is greater than equal to 0 integer, right? Then you can write phi of pk is equal to p raised to k into 1 minus of 1 upon p. This is a very important property. This property says that if you have the format of p raised to k and you need to find the Euler-Torsson function of p raised to k, then you can apply the formula p raised to k into 1 minus 1 upon p. So now we'll understand when we can apply this formula. Suppose you want to calculate phi of 8, right? So 8 can be written as 2 raised to 3, right? So if you're going to compare, 2 raised to 3 format is matched with the format of p raised to k, right? P is a prime number, so here 2 is also prime number, and k is nothing but 3 here, right? So the format of phi of p raised to k and the format of phi raised to 2 raised to 3 are same, right? So we can apply this formula over here. And if I'm going to apply this formula, so here it will be p raised to k is nothing but 2 raised to 3 and 1 minus 1 upon p, and p is nothing but 2 only, right? And after the simplification, here we'll get the 4. So this is your answer. So this is all the properties of Euler-Torsson function, and these properties are very important, and in better way all the property can be understand when I'll go into the problem solving part. So we'll have to wait for some time. So since here we have studied three property 1, property 2 and property 3, I hope all properties are very clear to you now. And after the completion of the property, now I'll see what is the application of Euler-Torsson function and where it is applicable, right? And where it is applied. Whenever you want to calculate a raised to n mod of m, right? Since already we are aware with the calculation of a raised to n mod of m, already we have seen how it is to be calculated. Either we can calculate a raised to n mod of m using what? distributive law, and also we have seen the calculation of a raised to n mod of m using Fermat's Little theorem. So a raised to n mod of m can also be calculated using Euler-Thomson function also. So that we're going to see in the mathematical problem solving part only, right? And the second application says that if you want to calculate the linear congruence Ax congruent to b mod of m, then also you can solve this kind of problem with the help of Euler-Thomson function. So this is all about the application of Euler-Thomson function. So this is the end of this lecture. From the coming lecture, we're going to start the problem solving part. Thank you.